Now, we want people to text us in about what we're going to talk about, Kieran, because we're talking about a topic which has got very interesting sort of feedback on this. Claims of unfair instructions, foul-smelling driving test instructors, and a failure to conduct driving tests in Irish were amongst complaints received by the state last year by people who failed tests. You're a well-known driving instructor here in Waterford. Thank you very much for coming into us this morning. Do you get people complaining about driving test instructors?
Yeah, driving testers, instructors are our side of the things. But
driving testers.
You do, Damien. And sometimes, you can see their point, and sometimes I will look at the sheet and say, like, you weren't doing this wrong, what's going on there? But as regards to odours and things like that, we're very lucky in Waterford in that we have a whole new log of examiners, and they're very polite, they're very fair,
and they smell nice.
They do smell nice, as far as but like there are complaints. There are complaints about particular tests. I won't say there isn't, and quite a few, but there are ways around that. But regarding the test, if a person passed the test, it's lovely. If they failed, there's always a problem.
It's a bit like the hurling. If you win, sure, listen, we'll put the things that aren't really good in behind the curtain. If we lose, as I said earlier, all those things come out from behind the curtain. Like the figures show that in 2017 there was a pass rate of 53%. So there's still a lot of people that are going into the test that are just not able to do it.
There are, but in any given day, a tester told me last week, 5 people mightn't turn up for a test. 5 not show up. That brings the fail rate right up. You know what I mean? So I'd be interested to know how many fail that actually sit the test or get to go out, because you have other people misfortunes that a brake light doesn't work for them. I've often checked brake lights for people and they'd go over and whatever, they're not working. You know what I mean? This type of thing happens. Are they part of the fail ratio? I don't know. And if they are, because, I would think personally an awful lot more of my clients than 53% pass first time, and a lot more lately, because the younger kids are doing the test now. Before my age rate would be from 30 to 35, 40, 45, up to 55. I've just come from Tesco, Lisdongan there, where we were getting a presentation for St. Paul's Boxing Club. And I know more of the old ladies walking around there than I actually taught. Now, I'm 56 and they're in their 60s and 70s. So for me to have taught them, they didn't do their test till late in life. That's completely changed.
Yeah. Do you ever get somebody that you just know, this person can't drive? Or can everybody drive?
Almost everybody can drive. I had one particular boy years ago, and it actually ended up that it was an inner ear balance problem. He couldn't straighten up the car. But I will, if I have to suggest that you get an automatic. And that's the answer for some people. Because, Damien, if I had my choice tomorrow when I retire, which is not a million miles away, I'd buy an automatic.
Would you?
I would, of course. They're lovely to drive. So why wouldn't you,
And in terms of that young boy, that man at the time, how bad was he? Was he swerving from side to side? Was it?
Yeah, he couldn't. If you had him even in a car park and he wanted to go left, he'd go right. He couldn't steer the car. And now that is one of the few people in 28 years that I've had to say, you need to go back. And I spoke to his mum, and she went back to the doctors, and that's what she came back to me.
And do you ever get people that are arrogant and that are basically saying, I know what to do and you can't tell me what to do?
Yeah, rarely, but I did. I had a German lady one time, and she just pulled in the side of the road and turned, are you going to tell me what to do for the next hour? And I said, I'll tell you you're brilliant if you want me to. I said, but if you want to pass the test, I'm not criticising. No, what she said is, are you going to criticise my driving for the next hour? I said, it's constructive criticism, madam. I said, if I don't do it, you won't pass your test. And she snapped out of it. She realised it wasn't her husband giving out to her, it was her she said sorry, and we went on and she passed her test. But very rarely, people know you're doing your best with them, and if you do it in a mellow and relaxed, non-aggressive way, you'll get through to them. And, I will say, Damien, people are in awe of testers. They're terrified of testers. They're human beings going in doing a job. Right, we've one rude one. The rest of them are gentlemen, and there's a lovely ladies doing it as well. They are civil servants. They're doing their job. They would not be as highly skilled as a driving instructor, because a driving instructor has to find the faults, cure the faults in a polite manner. They just tick a box. So, you don't have to be in awe of these guys. They have the power to pass and fail you. They're not there to fail you. You know what I mean? Go out, relax, do your test and do your best.
Somebody has texted in, Damien, Kieran Kennedy is the best driving instructor ever. There you go now. That must be somebody related to you, is it?
Yeah, my mother is.
What's your mother's name?
Josephine. Oh, she's in Dublin, is that her?
All right, okay. But this idea of somebody actually complaining about the smell of a driving tester, like whether that was the reason the person failed the test, but it would be really off-putting if you sat into the car and you were so wound up and so tense about doing this test and you get this awful pang of body odour.
Yeah, totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. That or rudeness in 2019 is not acceptable. You must remember, you're paying €85 to do this test. They have to provide a service in a polite and fair manner. And if they don't, you have right to complain. Now, if you have done a test and you feel the tester was rude and whatever, most people would just complain and let it off. You need to write in and complain, because there's only 1,700 complaints. I'd get to hear more than 1,700 complaints and I'm only one instructor.
But you'd never be able to prove that. Should it not be a case that there should be dash cam maybe put into every in every car?
Well, that would be
because if I complained, if I failed my test and I passed it first time and all that, but if I failed it, nobody's going to believe me.
Yes, exactly. And the appeal system is a joke. Even if you win in court of the judge, you just get a free test. Now, if you've had a bad experience with a particular tester, you can write and say you have a bad experience, and when the next test comes up, you email him and you tell him, I don't want Johnny Boggs or whatever. I've had him before and I don't want to take him. Whereas if you hear Johnny Boggs is bad, you can't write in and say, I don't want him, because you have to have had the experience with him.
Do you get together? Do you have a little club of driving testers, driving instructors in Waterford?
Not really. We'd pass each other and ring each other, you know what I mean? We'd update each other if there was a different reverse and, you know, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? There are some very good instructors in Waterford, some very good driving instructors in Waterford. And I'd have to say 99.9% of the testers are very polite and very fair, you know.
Did you ever have to pass a person on to another instructor because you couldn't handle him or her?
Well, no, I've often been sacked. The people have always moved off. You know what I mean? You know, for whatever reason. You know, but no, I've had some fabulous experiences and met some fabulous people over the last 28 years, and I am a people person, so I do enjoy it.
Damien, a person texted in, I did my driving test a couple of months ago. I had 2 testers in the car with me, which I thought was very unfair. I failed, but I was under so much pressure doing it. I never heard of that. 2 testers.
You see, you had 2 scenarios there. One, the fellow in the front is training to be a tester, and the guy in the back we will tell him what he does at the end of it, what he's done wrong or right. But the person in the back has no say in any way, shape or form as a result of the test. But I can understand how it puts people under pressure.
Imagine it would.
The other thing then is it's the supervisor checking that the tester is doing his job right. So don't be intimidated. You'll actually get the fairest test in the world if you have a fella sitting in the back, because they can't do you unnecessarily. You have to be sure.
Damien, can you ask Kieran, why do we have crossings on roundabouts? I don't think. Yeah.
I find them very, very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Especially exiting a roundabout. I will always tell drivers not to stop exiting unless someone has started or out in front of you. I find them very dangerous. They defeat the whole purpose of a roundabout.
Damien, what about someone who's a very good driver but gets nervous during the test and finding it very hard to pass?
You see, to pass your test, you have to be consciously confident. And what I mean by that, Damien, you or I, Damien, drive home, and we don't even think, did we go through the last roundabout? But we went through it correctly. For a person to pass their test, and this is what I drum into all my clients, you have to talk to yourself from the start to the finish. First roundabout, I'm down to second off clutch, I check my mirror indicator, I look again.
Talk privately to yourself?
Yeah, one guy did it out loud at the test, told him to shut up after 20 minutes. But you talk to yourself from start to finish, because if I'm practicing to give an exhibition and drive, Damien, I have to tell myself what to do, because I might leave my hand on the gear, I might leave my elbow on the window. I'm not perfect. I never claimed to be. As many times on the radio I'll say we're all, let he who has not sinned throw the first steering wheel. But if you talk to yourself, put him out of the picture. Tell yourself what to do from start to finish. You won't daydream. You won't be wondering what you have to put on the iPad. You're thinking of here and now and what's in front of you. You think of here and now and what's in front of you, and you will give yourself a very good chance of passing the test.
Men or women, better drivers?
women are better clients in that they pay more attention, they're more attention to detail. But like the way it is nowadays, Damien, they both drive equally as well. The myth of a woman driver is mythical. You know what I mean? They can be a little more aggressive now than they were years ago. You'd see that when you get lifted out at the odd time. But no, I bet you even the pass rate is much the same with both. They're both very skilled now. Irish drivers are very skilled, Damien. We just need more education from 4 up, you know, so they understand exactly what they're doing. They're well able to pass the test, but you can ask them 10 questions and you'll get them all wrong.
I love these cars that don't have to use the indicators. They're amazing, you know. And these drivers that don't have to use indicators, you just love them. You just think they're great, don't they? They must be special cars, are they?
Generally, Audis, Mercedes, and BMWs.
Oh,
they beep most as well. I'm going to get lifted. If I get beeped on a roundabout or whatever, I can say to the client, is it a Mercedes, a BMW, or an Audi? And I'm sorry, I have some good friends, all including my brother. So, but
I drive an old Audi, an 11-year-old Audi, you know.
If you're not a beeper, I apologise.
No, but that's a good point, because so do you think there's a level of arrogance there with some drivers? Big cars, they think they've big egos, big personalities, and they'll say, I need to get there and you shouldn't be in my way.
Exactly, 100%. And you know, that's just the way of the jungle. That's the way it is. That's calling it as it is.
Isn't it lovely when somebody does something nice for somebody else on the road? Let somebody out, or whatever case. It's a lovely thing to do.
Exactly. And you see, the one thing you make sure you do, Damien, is you don't waive someone out. If you stop and let him out, but if you waive him, you're putting yourself half responsible if that goes wrong. But I always, wherever I'm going, I'll always let one person out. If I come to the end of Viewmont in the queue or whatever, I come to work, I'll let one person out, and the next day I'll let one person out. If everyone does that, it makes the world a quicker place for us all. But also, bad driving, queues, it's down to people daydreaming and not keeping with the flow.
Yeah.
You're leaving gaps between this car and the next car. Keep the flow going. Keep concentrating on what you're doing. Shaving
while you're driving, on the phone, putting on the makeup. What's the funniest story you've ever had?
Well, it wasn't to do with a driver, and I think I mentioned this before. I came to a roundabout at the bottom of the folly, and there was a lady texting on her phone, walking across, pushing the pram, and her 4 little toddlers came behind her like ducks. Now, that's more negligent than I've ever seen any driver doing, but you do see people. I see a lot of truck drivers, believe it or not, using their phone, and they're highly skilled individuals. But, you know, you see so many things, you could write a book on it. Any
very specific tips for this texter? He failed his first test, and he has an upcoming test now.
Yeah. You need to go out and practice for half an hour. Everyone's obsessed with going out and staying out. A test is 30 minutes long, 35 minutes long. You need to go out, go through your faults in your head. You need to, whoever your sponsor is or your full licence or your instructor is, first of all, you need to go over the faults you got in the last test. Having said that, you need to, you know, everyone has different faults every time to go, you know, to a slight degree. So you need to go out, concentrate, focus, tell yourself what you're doing, half an hour, take a break, and then go back at it again maybe later. But, you know, if you failed, you need to go over your faults with your instructor.
Nobody ever suggested that you'd bribe the instructor or anything like that, or the tester, no?
No.
Not yet.
And I don't know anyone looking to do their test in Irish, because if they're looking to get instructed in Irish, they're in deep trouble.
Hard enough to understand in English sometimes. Damien, did you know that indicators are optimal extras? There we are. Kieran is dead right regarding the white lines at roundabouts. They're lethal, says this person. And others saying, fair play to you, you're a great Eamon Dalton, you're a brilliant instructor. So that's to Eamon. Coming up, if you have anybody involved in scouting, you won't want to miss the next item, and also all the texts and comments regarding the hurling. Kieran Kennedy, thank you very much. Continued safe driving.
Pleasure, thank you.